Ladies and gentlemen, in a world filled with noise, opinions, rules, and expectations, one of the most powerful things you can do is this. Listen to your heart. Your heart is the core of who you are. It carries your dreams, your purpose, your passion. Not just what you think you should do, but what you were born to do. The world will try to tell you what's safe, what's practical, what's logical. But the truth is, logic builds safety nets, only heart builds legacies. There will be moments in your life where you're faced with difficult choices. The easy path might be the one that pleases everyone, but it won't feed your soul. The harder road, the one that scares you a little but excites you more. That's the voice of your heart whispering, "This is the way." When you listen to your heart, you align with your purpose. You find joy, not just success. You feel peace, not just security. It's not always easy, but it's always right. So I encourage you today, when you're unsure, when you're lost, when you're afraid, go quiet, block out the world, and listen deeply, because the answers you seek are not out there. They are inside you. From the moment you were born, your heart has held the blueprint of your purpose. It doesn't need logic to understand what excites your soul. It doesn't need permission to dream beyond limits. Your heart carries the quiet voice that has always known what you're meant to become, long before the world told you what you should become. Unlike the mind, which is shaped by fear, conditioning, and outside opinions, the heart is raw, intuitive, and unfiltered. It doesn't care about your resume, your failures, or society's definition of success. It only cares about meaning. That's why the things that light you up, the work that makes you lose track of time, the moments that give you goosebumps, the causes that make you emotional, those aren't random. Those are signals, indicators. They're your heart's way of showing you what matters most. Many people spend their entire lives chasing what looks good on the outside, ignoring what feels right on the inside. But no title, no paycheck, no applause can ever replace the quiet contentment that comes when you're living in alignment with your heart's calling. Because when your heart is guiding you, every step, even the hard ones, feels like it's part of something bigger. Something only you can fulfill. The truth is, your heart won't shout. It won't force you, but it will whisper gently and consistently. And that whisper will come in the form of restlessness when you're stuck, peace when you're aligned, and an unshakable pull when you're getting closer. Your job is to listen, really listen, because your heart knows where you're supposed to go, even if the path isn't clear yet. 2. Every day we are bombarded with noise, notifications, opinions, deadlines, expectations. Everyone and everything seems to be pulling us in different directions. Society tells us what success should look like. Social media shows us what happiness appears to be. Friends, family, teachers, even strangers, all have ideas about who we should be and what we should want. The volume of the outside world can get so loud that we forget the one voice that truly matters, the voice within. But here's the truth: your heart doesn't shout, it doesn't compete, it doesn't argue. It speaks in stillness, in quiet moments, in feelings you can't quite explain. While the world tries to rush you, your heart asks you to slow down. While others demand answers, your heart invites reflection. It's soft but powerful, subtle but persistent, and most of all, it's honest. Painfully honest at times, because it refuses to let you live a life that's not meant for you. This is why silence, solitude, and self-awareness are no longer luxuries. They're necessities. You can't hear your heart when you're constantly surrounded by noise. You need space to think for yourself. You need moments where you disconnect from the world just to reconnect with your soul. Because when you finally create that space, you'll hear it. Not a voice from above, but a feeling from within, pointing you towards something deeper, something truer, something that's always been there. There's a big difference between success and fulfillment. You can chase achievements, gather awards, earn money, and impress the world, and still feel empty at the end of the day. Why? Because true fulfillment doesn't come from external applause. It comes from internal alignment, and that alignment begins when you start listening to your heart. When you follow your heart, you begin to live with intention. You stop moving through life on autopilot, doing things just because others expect you to. Instead, every action becomes more meaningful, more connected to who you truly are. You might still face challenges, you might still have to work hard, but there's a sense of joy even in the struggle. Because you're doing something that matters to you, you're not just existing, you're living. Listening to your heart doesn't mean every day will feel magical, but it does mean your life will have direction. Not borrowed from anyone else, but created by your own soul. That's where fulfillment comes from, knowing that your time, your energy, your passion is going into something that resonates with your deepest truth. When you're aligned with your heart, even the smallest achievements feel big. Even the quiet moments feel powerful, and even if no one else understands your path, you do. You wake up with purpose, you go to sleep with peace, and in between you live with meaning that can't be measured by numbers, but can be felt in your bones. Your heart will never lead you into a life of comfort. It will lead you into a life of courage. That's the paradox. While the world teaches you to stay safe, follow the rules, and avoid risks, your heart quietly urges you to break free, to try something daring, to walk a path that's uncertain but real. Because the truth is, your heart is not concerned with what's easy. It's concerned with what's true. Listening to your heart often means stepping into the unknown. It might ask you to walk away from something secure, to start over, to pursue a passion others don't understand. To speak up when it's easier to stay silent, and that can feel terrifying, because the heart's path rarely comes with guarantees. There's no map, no safety net, no applause waiting at the first step. Just faith, just a feeling, just a quiet knowing that this is something you have to do. But here's the thing, bravery isn't about being fearless. It's about acting despite the fear, and your heart. It's the most courageous part of you. It knows that fulfillment lies on the other side of risk. It knows that safety can become a cage. It knows that playing small will never satisfy a soul that was made for more. So when your heart nudges you towards something uncertain, when you feel that mix of fear and excitement, that's your cue, that's the call, because growth doesn't happen where it's comfortable. It happens where you're willing to follow the voice that's calling you higher. There's a strange thing that happens when you start listening to your heart. Fear gets louder, doubt starts shouting, resistance grows stronger, not because you're on the wrong path, but because you're finally on the right one. Fear isn't a sign you should stop. It's a sign that something meaningful is about to begin. You see, your heart speaks in whispers, calm, quiet, certain, but fear screams. It throws every possible what if at you. What if you fail? What if they laugh? What if it doesn't work? It floods your mind with uncertainty, because fear's only job is to keep you safe, not fulfilled, just safe. And safety often looks like staying in the same place, doing what's familiar, even when it's slowly draining the life out of you. But if you listen carefully, you'll realize something. Fear always gets louder right before you're about to grow. Right before you take the leap, right before you break a cycle, change your life, or move one step closer to who you really are, that's not coincidence, it's resistance. And resistance means you're close. Really close. The most beautiful things in life, love, purpose, change, expression, all live just on the other side of fear. That's why your heart doesn't wait for fear to disappear. It asks you to move through it. It asks you to trust the whisper inside, even while your mind is screaming outside. Because once you take that step, once you listen to your heart even with trembling hands, you'll realize something powerful. One of the greatest traps we fall into is trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. We spend so much energy trying to make others proud, fit into roles they've designed for us, and earn approval from people who may never truly understand us. We say yes when we want to say no. We follow paths we never chose. We silence parts of ourselves just to keep others comfortable. And slowly, almost without realizing it, we begin to drift away from who we really are. But your heart was never meant to live on a script written by someone else. You weren't born to be a copy of what others want. You were born to be a reflection of your own soul, and while pleasing others may bring temporary peace, only pleasing your soul brings lasting fulfillment. Because deep down, there is a part of you that knows when you're not being true. You can fake a smile, fake your confidence, even fake your success, but you can't fake alignment. There comes a moment when you have to choose. Live for others or live for yourself. That moment is uncomfortable, maybe even painful, because it often means disappointing people who care about you. But here's the truth. The people who truly love you want you to be real, not perfect. They want you to be you, and those who don't. Their approval was never meant to shape your destiny anyway. When you listen to your heart, you begin to set boundaries, you begin to speak up. You begin to make choices that don't always make sense to others, but finally make sense to you, and slowly you reclaim something precious, your authenticity, your voice, your freedom.